Welcome everyone to the second week of Summer Summit. I hope you have been enjoying the composting course that is through Munn Botanical Gardens. So we have actually Memorial with us again today. A little different, of course, because we are kind of just tackling all of science rather than just the botanical garden aspect. And by all means, if you have any questions about Summer Summit, please do just message me. Find my name anywhere in FeedLoop, and you can send me a direct message. But put up any of those activities that you're doing within the event feed for your points. And again, of course, we have points today. So after our presentation with Sam from Memorial, we'll have some a gamification code for just watching, but of course there's also gamification codes for asking questions. So if you have questions about doing science programs at Memorial, then pop them into the chat, and once Sam is done their presentation, we'll tackle those questions. But with that, I think I'm just going to hand it right over to Sam from Memorial. So you're a career development officer, is that correct?
Yeah, so I am the employer development coordinator. So I deal largely with employers, and I'm also a career advisor. So I have the opportunity to meet with lovely students like you folks attending today. And I am privileged enough to help students navigate career exploration. And today we're going to be looking at it from a science lens, which is exciting. So bear with me. I'm just going to try and get my slideshow up and running. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I see the whole of your PowerPoint, not just the...
Oh, not just the one?
Sometimes if you have a double screen, it's which screen you're sharing, but...
Yeah, fine. Let's see now. Let me try this again. I may not be looking at the camera now. I'm switching some screens around, so bear with me. Alrighty, does that look better, or is it having the same effect?
This is your presenter view, so it's different, but I do see the next slide as well.
Yeah, so it still doesn't want to. There we go. What about now?
Yes, that's correct.
Fantastic. So we will start with I should ask, would you prefer to start with the STEM portion specifically, or more so the career focus?
I am good with whatever you're kind of prepared.
Awesome.
We're about both.
Awesome. I love it. So we'll start with this because this is what seems to be formatting nicely for me at the moment. So this is looking at the Faculty of Science from the career development perspective. So here we go. So why science? I'm sure that you folks attending have your own reasons for why you feel interested and passionate about science, which is awesome. Science really, presents itself in every industry in a different form, which is exciting because it doesn't limit you to one job prospect. A science degree provides a set of highly valued skills that are transferable to many different careers, and we'll talk about that, the transferable skill aspect. That's something important that is coming up a lot more in discussions nowadays with employers, which is exciting because it's not just focusing on hard skills, but soft skills as well. And science industries typically show growth. So the fields of science, they are just booming. There's certainly no real issues in terms of getting a career in science, which is exciting if that's, a field that you are interested in. So I just want to talk a little bit about the academic piece, but also everything else that you can bring to the table, like a program that you're doing today is really valuable in terms of your experience. So I'm so grateful that I could be a part of this and, be here to help influence this career exploration piece that you folks are doing. So you're more than your degree. Here at Memorial, the main goal is to educate you so that you can leave the institution and go on your career path. However, when you're here, before you're here, and after, we value everything that encompasses you as an individual. So meaning that you bring a lot more to the table than just your degree. So there's the cute little, theory quote here, the whole is more than the sum of parts, which is very true. So your interests, your work experience, your volunteer experience, your hobbies, your extracurriculars, if you participate in team sports, for example, all of these kind of build you. And believe it or not, you've definitely gained either a skill or, a perspective on something from these activities that you can take into, your work and your career and your academic career. So typically when thinking about careers and in science careers, we like to ask students, what do you like doing? What are you good at? How can you put that together with your credentials to make a career? Because we want to make sure that at the end of the day, what you're doing is something that you want to be doing and you enjoy doing and can excel at. So transferable skills. So this is what I mentioned just a moment earlier. So transferable skills refer to skills that can be beneficial for any position. So these are often not your hard skills, which we would typically kind of classify as, like the physical aspects more so. These are more so things that can always transfer. So these skills can help you develop while completing a science degree. So for example, information gathering and communication. These are a great example of transferable skills. Gathering information is going to be so important throughout your academic career. You're going to be doing research for papers. If you, want to do a science degree, you're probably going to be in labs gathering information on things, whether that's chemicals to ensure that, you're doing something safe in the lab, or whether it's gathering information to try and get a certain outcome in your lab results. Information gathering is huge. Communication's also listed here because you need to be able to communicate, whether that is, taking this research piece and then writing a paper on it, whether it's giving a presentation like I'm doing now, or whether it's simply just communicating with your peers and those around you regarding, what you're working on or what you're thinking. So these, for example, they access and identify pertinent information. You can use these skills to organize and compile information, as I mentioned, develop effective reports, presentations, and materials using technology to deliver the info. Just like I'm doing right now, I'm using technology to get this message across. So these skills are transferable because not only are they, very important in terms of science and a science, academic career or a science career post-graduation, but you need those skills. You need to be able to gather information and be able to communicate that information effectively, no matter what industry you find yourself, wanting to pursue. So thinking, planning, and organizing, these are another great few examples of transferable skills. Critical thinking is so important. We need to be able to make our own decisions that are educated. We need to be able to plan for things and, of course, organize things. So in, using this skill set, you'd be learning, understanding, and interpreting information. Time management would be important, as well as prioritization. That's a big thing when you get to university. You kind of got to be able to juggle a lot of stuff, multiple classes, and it's not a very rigid structure like it is when you're going through the K-12 school system. So that's fun to figure out. I'm sure you folks are doing great at it. You prioritize and time manage today to be here, so that's awesome. You definitely have that skill. Problem solving, analyzing and interpreting data to support or reject ideas and theories. That would be a big one in science as well as other fields. Science is, constantly changing and evolving things and how we do things. So being able to problem solve would be huge for that. Teamwork and management skills are also here as great transferable skills that are also important that you would develop while completing a science degree. You're going to be doing teamwork in your courses, in your lab work, whether that's doing a research paper, presentation. Management skills, you're also managing, the completion of multiple tasks and assignments that you would be doing throughout your degree. So that's exciting. So, you'd be understanding that successful, identifying, you're going to plan and contribute to the goals of, teamwork and projects. And, taking something from the beginning to the end. So really working through every step. And again, no matter what type of work environment you go into, teamwork and management skills are going to play, a big role in that. Because these are skills that no matter what environment you're going to see yourself in career-wise, they're going to substantially help with the success that you will find within that position.
Sam, if I could interrupt you for just a second, on the bottom of your screen, could you click hide on the...
Oh, absolutely. I'll just go back just to make sure. So this is what she's they're referring to here, oversee a project from beginning to end. So meaning that, you'd be taking an assignment from a professor, for example, from scratch. You'd be doing your own research, your own work on it, taking a theory, finding evidence to support your stance on that theory. So from the very beginning to the end results, which would be that, for example, in this example, your final paper that you're doing on this topic or the presentation you're going to be giving. So it just really refers to that teamwork aspect of being able to help go from point A to point B. So why do you need transferable skills? So you gain them throughout, a science degree and all the other things that you're doing in your life. You're gaining these skills. They're important and you need them because employers look for transferable skills to know that they can trust the job will be done and done well and on time with attention to detail, no matter the job. No matter what type of work environment you find yourself in, employers will want things done well to the best of your ability. And these transferable skills are certainly going to help ensure that that is the case. So transferable skills are not taught, more so they're developed through everything you do. So whether you're playing on a volleyball team and you're communicating amongst that team, figuring out strategies on how you want to play the game, well, that's your teamwork right there. That's that critical thinking and, planning and executing something. So they can come from a lot of different ways, but they're not formally taught. They're more so gained through your experiences. So employers want to see evidence that you've developed these skills. Employers really want well-rounded employees that are going to be able to deliver in all these areas. So it's super exciting to, have the opportunity to talk about this because there's something that maybe not everyone thinks about. So to be able to take in this presentation and maybe sit down and make a list of some of your transferable skills would be really beneficial because maybe, we're talking about this today and you didn't realize, oh, well, I've gained this skill from this. And so it's important to realize that you have those within yourself so that when the time does come that, you're looking for a job, you need to be able to highlight these skills that you have to an employer to show, that you're capable of that work and, succeeding in your goals. So really, the more that you can do to gain these transferable skills, the better. So, the more that you can add, whether that's working or volunteer experience or academic, like doing a science degree at MUN, the better you can showcase your skills based on the more experiences you have. So I recommend trying new things, having fun, joining electives, clubs, societies. So for example, here at Memorial, if you decide to come here as a student and, you're getting involved, you're doing your program, there are electives. So electives would be outside of your traditional program path, and they let you take in other courses. So for example, you can do a science load, but you could take an elective in business if you wanted to see how, business students, what they're learning. Or you could take an elective in a different area of science than what you want to focus on. It gives you that wiggle room to take in new courses, learn new things in the formal education sense. We also have clubs and societies. There are a lot of really cool science clubs and societies at Memorial University, as well as, non-science related as well. Everything from mentoring groups to, certain science groups. And these are great ways because clubs and societies would be ran by your fellow peers. So it's a fun way to make friends, as well as, plan and host events and, bring employers in. And it's just a nice way to kind of gain more skills in a different environment. So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about career services for science students, because if you do decide you want to come to MUN and, take the science route, these are some really great resources. So we have science-specific career events. So oftentimes those look like they are informational events. So whether that's, we bring an employer on campus and they just, go through some information with students, tell you how to apply for jobs, how to look for jobs, tell you what it's like to work in their field. That's a big type of informational session we have for students so that they can see what it would be like to work as a doctor, for example, to work as a vet tech, for example. We also host a variety of networking events, which is fun. Networking is a lot of fun. We bring in employers and students and kind of mix them all together so that they can all have valuable conversations about their goals and really help lift one another up in terms of spreading information and then just making those connections so that further down the road, you can go, oh, well, hey, I met you before, and maybe you luck into a job because of your connections, or maybe, you get to learn more because someone's willing to work with you based on that. And a variety of others as well. These are just some of the science-specific career events that we put off in the last year. So we also offer one-on-one appointments with Science Career Development Coordinator. Our career development coordinator is coming back in August. They're just currently on leave, so it's going to be super exciting to have them back with us. And they can do all kinds of things with you through appointments. So in a one-on-one environment, if you feel you need that bit of attention or rather a personal connection, we really offer career exploration. So helping you figure out job options and possibilities within your related area. We also offer career assessments. That's a lot of fun. We do things like Hall and Code and career cruising assessments, as well as Clifton Strengths to kind of get a more formal piece of information on what you're interested in, for example. So they're kind of like little questionnaires and things, and you get results that are really exciting and sometimes maybe shed light on something you didn't imagine for yourself. We also offer resume cover letter writing. So we can help you with your resume and cover letter. If there's a job you want to apply for, make sure that all that looks spiffy. We also do networking advice, which is great because networking is a lot of fun, as I mentioned, but it can be a little bit awkward if you are new to it. So we offer advice on how to make that a very smooth and fun process. We also offer job search resources so we can help assist you in your job searching. We also offer interview preparation, which is a fun one. Again, we can do mock interviews and pretend that we're interviewing you for a job and really just go over the things that you should do or shouldn't do in an interview. and really anything else career related. The sky is the limit with appointments. We tailor all of our career development appointments specifically to you and your needs and what you want to get out of it. We always ensure that students, you know, everything that they wanted is on the table by the end of the appointment, because it's about you and your career goals, and we're here to help assist that. So there's something for everyone, whether you're in your first year or your final year. So take advantage of the resources available to you. So this means no matter where you are in your, academic journey at Memorial University, career development is here to help assist. Whether you are just starting out and you want to know what's available, we are your people. Or maybe you're finishing your program, you want to graduate and you don't know how to look for a job. Well, we're here to help with that and everything in between. So you might be saying, okay, this is great, but what about, tangible options? What can I do with a science degree? So this is a very extensive list. So just looking at this, so biochemistry, you could be a chiropractor, a clinical biochemist, a crime scene analyst, a dentist. You could work with, environmental health. You could do food and beverage inspecting. You could be a nutritionist, an optometrist. You could test water quality and so much more. The combination of biology and chemistry can lead to a lot of interesting career paths that you may not have thought of. And this is just a very tiny snapshot of all those possibilities. And same thing with biology. You could work in the fisheries field. So you could do, be a fisheries officer. You could be, a conservationist. You could work in marine and aquaculture biology, be a biologist, marine biologist, medical technologist. You could do the horticulturist, veterinarian, ecologist, environmental scientist, and much more. Again, just the smallest snapshot. And same thing with chemistry. Oftentimes when we say chemistry, people will go, well, I don't know if I want to work in a lab. There's a lot more options than that. So agricultural chemist, green chemist, you could be doing some research and development as a scientist. You could work in cosmetics if that's something you're interested in. You could do brewmaster, you could do all kinds of fun things, forensic labs, food scientists, environmental health specialists again, and just so much more. We love talking about science because the possibilities are endless. We don't say it, just to brush it off. It truly is endless. Computer science is another field of science that maybe when we talk about science as a, degree path, students don't automatically think computer science. They think of more the biology and chemistry, but computer science falls under this as well, along with earth science and mathematics and statistics. So these are also science degrees. So if you were interested in computer science, you could think about the web specialist, software developing, network and analyst, information scientist. You could work in robotics, which is super cool. Air traffic controlling, working with AI, and just much more. So doing science and further advancing things, but maybe from a technology perspective. Earth science is another pathway that we have. So earth science, you'd be looking at, more of your geology type area. So you'd be looking at careers such as the agricultural technicians, geologists, maybe environmental planners, working in oil and gas, working as, park rangers, maybe if you want more of that really kind of physical aspect of the earth science field, climatologists, and much more. Math and statistics, that's a little bit different again. Maybe you want to work as an accountant, maybe a cryptologist, investment banker, meteorologist, which people often don't kind of place in this category, data scientists, urban regional planners, and much, much more. And I mean, it keeps going, right? So physics is another field that we have. Ocean sciences is another one that we have. The Marine Institute, which is a branch of us, they focus on the ocean sciences. Psychology is another science. So, I mean, just a couple of the physics, for example, you could do the environmental physicist, astronomer, maybe you want to be an acoustic emissions technician, optical technician. There's a lot of cool things that you can do with physics. And ocean sciences, you'd be looking specifically with much more of an ocean kind of take on things. So you'd see a lot of jobs in fisheries, and maybe you want to be an aquarium curator. That would be really cool. Environmental consultants and analysts working largely with that environmental piece. So marine biologists again, wildlife management, and psychology is a totally different branch again. So you could be a criminologist, a sleep technician, you could look at animal behavior, you can work in mental health, which is awesome. That's an up and coming branch, which, you know, we're thrilled about. Counselors and just so much more. So that is that piece, just looking at, you know, the job specifically and kind of the programs. But I'm also just going to talk a little bit about women in STEM. Just give me 1 second there. I just have to, I think I lost you folks. I just want to share my screen again.
You're still good. This has been wonderful so far. That such an extensive list of potential careers for our students to consider as they go forward. While you're kind of, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, while you're kind of setting up there, maybe this is a great opportunity for me to just put up the gamification code for kind of either being here live or watching as a recording. So microbiologist. So that one you can plug into your gamification code area there now towards those the items in the shop, but also, of course, all of your gamification points this summer go towards entries into the grand prize draw of either the Oculus VR headset or the Surface Go, your choice between them. The microbiologist.
Awesome, perfect. I'll try and share my screen again. And hopefully I got it set up this time so I'm on the right side. I'm not, am I? Hang on. Alrighty, what about now?
Yes, that's perfect.
Excellent. So now this is just a little bit that we have on women in STEM, which I'm sure you folks know a lot about, but let's talk a little bit about it anyways, because it's so exciting. So this is a little bit about, you know, becoming a part of the community of women in STEM. So why STEM? And of course, I'm sure you have your own reasons for why you are interested in STEM and taking up in the program that you are. But there's a whole host of opportunities in the world of STEM, and it is always growing. It can lead in many directions, so traditional work versus non-traditional, and the industry always needs more diversity and perspectives, and you can contribute to that. You know, in every, I think, you know, every industry, every field, it's important to have a diverse environment, and it's so exciting that STEM is really pushing for that, because we want to have industries that are better for everyone as a whole, and the more people that can contribute and partake in that, the, you know, the better for the industry. So getting ahead as women in STEM. Sorry, my heater just kicked in, bear with me. So I recommend getting involved. So we talked a little bit about that in terms of a degree and kind of the different ways you can get involved on campus, for example, if you were to eventually become a Memorial University student. But there's a lot of other great ways to get involved as well. I recommend trying new things and network. So I talked about network in the, you know, the last presentation. And I'm going to talk about it again because it is so important. We're trying to push it with our students a lot more now, especially, you know, in a post-COVID world, things work differently, and networking can really help you get ahead, which is our goal. So let's take a look at getting involved. So connections and experiences bring opportunity. So I recommend looking for organizations that are designed for women in STEM. So for example, the Society for Canadian Women in Science and Technology SCWIST. They are an awesome group that are specifically, advancing Canadian women in STEM, which is so exciting. It's a very nice group to be a part of in terms of making those connections and really, getting yourself out there. Another great group is Make Possible Mentoring Network. So that is a very specific networking mentoring program that they do, which is really nice. That mentoring and network piece, as I mentioned, is just so important to make those connections, to learn from one another, and to be open to how you can help someone else and also how you can help yourself. It's super important in terms of thinking about career possibilities and thinking about what you want to do. The wider your connection, the better. I kind of like to use the analogy with students like a fishing net. If you were just to cast a very small net, maybe you wouldn't catch anything, or maybe you'd catch a fish. Whereas if you had a big net, you would catch a lot more. And that's kind of the idea behind networking. It's that idea that if you have a lot of people to help you with things that you can go to, it's going to make it easier to find opportunities because you have so many other people in your connection and kind of making that network that can assist in this. Canadian STEM Femmes is another awesome group. That is a group of women that are, again, further advancing positions for themselves and others within the world of STEM here in Canada specifically. Another one we have here, I just have the link to WISE NL. So WISE is Women in Science and Engineering NL. So they have resources for women interested in getting into STEM. Because the more, again, the more connections you can make and the more resources you can pull on, the easier you will find, reaching your goals and trying new things, because you'll have that sense of community that can help guide you through that. So trying new things leaves the door open. My big thing, and it's been something my parents have always told me, try everything and don't, you want to close a door, you don't want someone to close it for you. So this leaves the door open, meaning that you're opening a lot of doors so you can explore a lot of options. So, if you're interested in an elective that has nothing to do with your degree, take it. I did a mix of a biology degree and an English degree, so they don't necessarily go together in the eyes of everyone. I really liked both, so I took both. And while I was doing that, I took courses that did not relate directly to either one of those degrees because they interested me. So why not take it? Maybe I'd meet new people and learn new things that I could apply within the degree that I was doing. I don't regret that at all. I think that was some of those courses were the best courses I took at MUN. So I recommend trying that out, once you reach your secondary educational journey. Commit yourself to a life of curiosity and learning, which, pretty natural for scientists, which is awesome. The more you can learn, the more you can do, the more that you're open to, it's just going to create possibilities. It's never going to take them away. And do things you enjoy. So careers can grow through mixing and matching your skills, your interests, and your passions. And not to mention your mental health is important. We love to mention that your mental health is important because maybe you've, always kind of wanted to do something and maybe you test it out and it's not what matches up with your skills, and that's okay too. A big thing that we highlight at Memorial University is that it's okay not to know, and it's okay to be flexible and to change. And we highlight that a lot as career advisors as well. You have to be open to being adaptable because maybe your career goals are going to change and maybe your educational goals are going to change, and that's okay. And we try and inspire students to find some joy and excitement in that, because learning something new is always fun. And being flexible within yourself is going to ultimately, at the end of the day, get you into, a career position where you feel like a natural fit because you've done that work and you've pivoted to find what works for you. So back to network. I cannot stress it enough. You're going to get sick of people like myself talking about it. So tell your people about your goals. You definitely know someone who knows someone. So for example, I often inspire and try and get students to connect with people within their faculty and, you know, profs that they look up to and respect, because those people have connections. For example, if you make connections and you're attending science networking events, those people are going to know other people in the science world, and maybe they know somebody at your dream company that you want to work for and they introduce you. That is a huge thing that may not have happened if you didn't have that network and you didn't have those people to help make and foster, you know, further connections. Reach out via LinkedIn. I don't know how many of you are using LinkedIn. I recommend looking into it. It's a big networking professional platform, which is awesome. And you can really focus on who and where you want to be with that. Reaching out and making connections like that is a great way as well. So I also say that you should ask those you admire questions. So as I mentioned, I tell students to connect with their profs and their mentors, and same thing for you folks. I think you should connect with your teachers, your mentors. Ask the questions that you have. There are so many supportive women in STEM right now here in St. John specifically, as well as the greater area. And just put yourself out there, because people will want to help. They'll want to talk to you. People love lifting others up, and you know, it's so exciting that you're in this stage in your lives where you get to experience these things, because there is such a great community around you of women in STEM that want to see you succeed. So attend science career events and learning opportunities and all these things I'm talking about, because they will benefit you. And that's it for my slideshow. So I hope that they were helpful.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Sam. I'm sure the students have taken away quite a bit from that, actually, and I definitely encourage everyone to even re-watch this, because there was a lot of information happening there that you might not have been able to kind of fully take in. But I just loved, I mean, I'm all about networking too, and I'll just throw this out there. You said to tell someone about your goals, me about your goals, because I can, what we try to do is line up role models that are of interest to you. So if I knew that you're interested in robotics, or I know that we've covered robotics quite a bit, but if I knew you were interested in math, anything really, engineering, etc., then I could even go to those role models and be like, hey, I have a student that really wants to hear from a blank. So send me a message, put it up in the event feed, let us know what role models you really want to connect with, and I'll kind of, I mean, by all means, reach out to them directly on LinkedIn. It's a wonderful networking site that you definitely could be starting to build your profile on even now. But I can also do a little bit of that legwork for you too, if that's okay. Yeah, so that's wonderful. So we did have one advanced question, so I'll ask this one first. They say that they're interested in going to Memorial Grenfell campus and getting an undergrad in biology. The first question was what jobs they can get with biology, which I think we covered definitely, but they have a few questions here. So how long does it take to complete an undergrad, and how many different sciences are available to study at Memorial?
Yeah, so that, I mean, that's a great question. So thank you for asking that. I mean, in terms of biology specifically, we did talk about some of the career options, but again, I want to stress that they are endless. And it's not something we say because it's like we don't want to explain. It's truly, you can go into a variety of fields in a variety of positions And it certainly doesn't have to be just the traditional biologist, for example. There is a wide variety of positions and environments that you can work in, which is super exciting. In terms of the second part there, the how long does it take to do an undergrad? That's a great question as well. Traditionally, 4 years is typically what you would look at for an undergrad. However, it depends on a lot of things such as programs. Maybe if you want to do something like a co-op opportunity or work terms, all these types of things can add on extra time, as well as taking courses in the summer can take away time and let you conclude earlier than traditionally. A big thing that we like to stress is it doesn't have to take 4 years. Lots of students take longer throughout their academic journey. I certainly did. I took 6 years to do an undergraduate degree. And I feel really good about that because that's the timeline that worked for me. So there is no structured timeline. It's whatever works for you. And the third part of that question, if I'm still understanding, it's looking at what types of science areas are offered at Memorial. Is that correct?
Yeah, how many different sciences are available to study?
Yeah, so there's engineering, computer science, psychology, you've got biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, and lots of other things can kind of lend themselves to that as well. Then if you want to do marine biology specifically or focus on, marine sciences, our Marine Institute campus is great for that. And our Grenville campus, because you did mention Grenville, which is awesome. Grenville campus really kind of focuses more on the environmental sciences, which is nice as well because the West Coast lends to a really great environment for that.
Yeah, if I can tackle some more of the various campuses. So we have St. John's main campus, then what? I know Grenville is kind of the other major campus, but Marine Institute, there's a new one in Labrador. What are the differences and how many am I even missing?
Yeah, so it's a great question. Overall, campus-wise, St. John's campus, as you mentioned, is our largest campus. It is considered our main campus. Grenville campus is out in Corner Brook, so that's on the west coast of Newfoundland. And they are focusing on arts programs, visual and theater arts, as well as your environmental sciences. Those are some of the strongest programs in that area just because they're kind of tailored to that. However, they do offer a variety of other programs as well. Then we have a new institute that's opening in Labrador, which is exciting. Their kind of main focus right now is nursing. And there is talks to open up nursing in central Newfoundland as well, which would be nice. And we have the Marine Institute that's also in St. John's, and their focus is on marine studies. So they do a mix of the environmental piece, as well as some of the more science and technology based, so looking at marine engineering and things like that. I also don't think I mentioned, but geography would also be considered a science if that was something the student asking the question was interested in. And we also have another campus in England, which is our Harlow campus. And that is a really cool opportunity as well, and something that if people do want to look into Memorial University, that would be considered kind of doing a semester abroad. But they cover a variety of programs over there at our Harlow campus as well.
In terms of applying initially to Memorial, do you have to kind of narrow in on I am going to apply to science, or is it that we apply to Memorial, or do you apply for a specific campus? Are credits transferable among campuses if they start in Labrador and then move to St. John's maybe in year 2, 3?
Yeah, so that's a great question. When you apply to be a Memorial University student, you can apply for any of the campuses that are available to you for a program in which you're applying. And you can also apply as a general student. A lot of students that are traditionally kind of in their first year, that's what they do. It's an option for undecided students because the whole point of coming to university is trying to figure out what you want to do. As I mentioned, we don't expect you to have it all figured out. I certainly applied as a general student in my first year. And I took about 2 years to kind of narrow in what it was I wanted to do. I wanted to experience it all and take courses in different areas, which I would recommend doing if you're uncertain. But if you are also certain and you know what you want to do, I recommend applying to that program specifically, because that can certainly give you a leg up if that's, an area you want to pursue.
Excellent. Stay curious, right?
Sorry, I just want to make sure I cover the credit aspect as well. So credits are transferable among campus, which is nice. It is, all these little institutions, they're still a part of Memorial University. So we do honor credits. They're certainly all transferable. Depending on, what course you took, it just may mean you have to get a form signed saying that they are equivalent and they match. For example, I started my studies at Grenville campus, and courses there are labeled a little bit differently than the St. John's campus, but it's the same course, it just has a different number. So I just needed a form signed, and I was all good. So I promise, if that's something you want to do, it's easy to move campuses.
Excellent. And I'm just noticing we're already in kind of our last 10 minutes. If there are any other questions, pop them into the chat so that we can cover that material. And there is one other question here so far. What your favorite part was what your favorite part about school at Memorial?
That's a great question. It's a tough question to narrow it down to kind of one experience or one aspect I like the most. I'm going to say I like the sense of community. One of the benefits of attending Memorial University is we are a smaller school compared to a lot of those in Canada, and we do have a strong sense of community amongst departments and faculties, which is nice. I got the opportunity to know my professors very well, which certainly helped me in terms of feeling like I could go to them for help if I needed clarification on an assignment or had questions. I also enjoyed the further experience outside of just my academics. So I enjoyed volunteering on campus and participating in groups of societies and meeting my peers. And I recommend doing that not only for those skill developments that we talked about earlier, but because gaining that sense of community and doing things outside of just school, it's going to give you a very very round and full experience in terms of what it is you're doing at Memorial. And it's not just all about school, but it's about you as a person and what you enjoy.
Excellent. Yeah, and it's like I really enjoyed your saying to kind of mix and match your skills, interests, and passions into everything that you're doing. It's going to just make your experience that much more rich and enjoyable.
I was trying to say well-rounded. It didn't want to come out.
Let's see. I was just curious. So you talked about all the career services for science. And I think we kind of covered, like, when you initially said science, I wasn't even thinking math. So part of my question I had written down was, what about math? But that's included. So
yeah, so that's a great thing, a great point. Because all these kind of things, sometimes we just think of the traditional and we don't think of everything as a whole. But we also offer career services outside of science. I'm just covering science because that's, the focus of this group, which is awesome. For example, I do career advising for all students from any faculty or background, which is really exciting because I get to work in a lot of different areas and help students in a lot of different areas. But each faculty also has different services. So maybe not career, because they would send students to us, but the math center, for example, they have math groups, and tutors and labs are signed up just to help you with homework if that's something you need help with. So Memorial University has created a very open community in terms of trying to foster success for our students, no matter what it is they need that success in, whether it's career or academic, or volunteer fulfillment. There's certainly areas amongst all of our campuses to help foster that.
Yeah, I think I would say that was probably my favorite part of Memorial too, is that community aspect where like there is a built support network where I think a lot of the time we think of support networks as organic. It's your family, it's your friends, but
Yeah.
Memorial has done this amazing job of making sure that support network is what's the word, like institutionalized? That doesn't sound nice, but
Yeah, like easy to find, I guess.
yeah, there are ways to get help no matter where you need that help.
Exactly.
Excellent. Well, seeing no other questions there now, was there anything else that you really wanted to cover before we go about the rest of our days?
I would love to just say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity and inviting me in to do this. And I'd also just like to say that if there are any questions later or anything that you think of, I'm certainly here to help. So if any of the students have questions or something about Memorial you want clarified, I'm certainly a great contact for that, and I'll do what I can. And yeah, I just want to thank you so much. It's so exciting to see a group of participants like this, so excited in a particular field. And I think that at Memorial University, we could certainly assist you on that journey. So I appreciate being given the opportunity to speak to that.
Yes, thank you so much. This has been wonderful and just yeah, it's eye-opening to the variety of science careers that there are and programs and supports at MUN. So thank you so much for joining us, and I'm sure we'll talk again.
Yes, thank you for having me. Have a great day, everyone.